Has your life ever been put on pause? On December 28, 2018, my second child, Towns Calder Bird, was born. We had just celebrated the joy of the Christmas season and looked forward to welcoming Towns into our family of 3 at the time. And about 2 weeks later, in early January 2019, our family's life paused. Towns was not having regular bowel movements, and his body temperature rose to 102 degrees, which is dangerous for any young child, especially a newborn. Towns ended up admitted to the Children's Hospital here, where he would stay for 10 days. Tests and examinations eventually discovered that Towns had developed both kidney and blood infections, none of what you want a newborn to endure, nor do you want to experience as a parent. This situation was the great unknown for me and my wife, Julia. And for a while, it was the great unknown even for the doctors. We didn't know what to do when our life paused. When life pauses, what do you do? And it's not if life pauses, it's when life pauses. Because it will, because it does, and usually many times throughout your life. Those moments when life temporarily stops. When you get that terrible medical news, when you lose your job, when you flunk that big test, when you get that bill you can't afford, when that special person breaks up with you, when you receive that terrible news, when life pauses like that, what do you do? How do you respond? How do you resume living? Do you worry? Do you overanalyze? Do you self-medicate? Do you isolate? Do you take it on yourself? Do you attack others? Or fill in the blank? 2 themes common in all of those responses that I just mentioned are that they are present and active approaches to handling life's pauses. They are ways we respond right away. And another commonality among these responses is their reliance on a finite human ability, finite human presence and earthly activity to do something with our paused situation. While these avenues of response may actively and presently engage your paused situation, they also leave unwanted residue. Anxiety, information overload, erosion of your mind and body, loneliness, stress, bodily and mental harm to yourself or to others. When life pauses, what else can you do? Psalm 3 captures a time in the life of the great Jewish king David when his life paused. Psalm 3 is a song of prayer by David during a time when he was on the run from his own son, Absalom, who was trying to orchestrate a coup to become king of Israel. Psalm 3 is David's prayerful song composed during his flight from his son, Absalom, who sought to usurp the throne of Israel from David. On his own, Absalom is an interesting character, all of which we will not explore fully right now. But if you want to encounter more family drama than probably any storyline of any TV show or movie you've ever watched, I encourage you to read about Absalom's life in 2 Samuel 13 through 15. In the background of Psalm 3 is Absalom returning to the capital of Israel, Jerusalem, after having fled from another paused moment in his own life. In 2 Samuel 14, Absalom notices something happening during his father David's rule. Absalom notices that there isn't a representative of the king to hear the people's injustices. People are coming to the city and they're like, I have this issue, and Absalom notices no one's taking this to the king. So Absalom devises a plan to self-appoint himself this person to determine justice for the people of Israel, because this was an absent part of life at that time. People were eager to come to Absalom for this purpose. And in the process, the text says in 2 Samuel 14, verse 6, that he, or Absalom, stole the hearts of the people of Israel. When the lives of the people of Israel were paused by injustice, their hearts turned to Absalom. As Absalom gains popularity and following increased for him, he convinced an army of men to recognize himself as a king. Once David finds out that Absalom's plans to perform this coup or to take over his reign, David responds with this from 2 Samuel 14, verse 14. "Come, we must flee, or none of us will escape from Absalom. We must leave immediately, or he will move quickly to overtake us and bring ruin on us and put the city to the sword." Here we see that David's life got put on pause by Absalom's coup. And it's while David is fleeing from Absalom that he composes the words that we encounter in Psalm 3. What we encounter in Psalm 3 is that David is what David did when his life paused. When David's life paused, he turned to God. He prayed. He handed the situation over to God's control. When life pauses, you can turn to yourself or to anything else and see how that works. The Psalm 3 declares how God is the greater, infinite, all-powerful, all-wise, all-good, something else to turn to when our life, or in this situation, when David's life was paused. And what David did was he prayed. Through Psalm 3, God's word invites us to do the same. Pray when life pauses. Pray when life pauses.